Here's a cleaned up, polished, and rewritten version of your text. I've fixed the typos, awkward phrasing, repetitions, and the abrupt ending, while keeping the dramatic, storytelling style and narrative flow intact. Nobody gave Alex a chance. Not the odds makers, not the tennis analysts, and certainly not the fans packed into Manolo Santana Stadium on that Tuesday afternoon in Madrid. She walked onto the red clay as a wild card, a 20-year-old from Manila whose serve the tennis internet had already written off, facing a player who had literally come back from giving birth and climbed from number 421 in the world all the way to number 11. That is the kind of opponent who is supposed to end your tournament politely but firmly. And for the first set, that is exactly what happened. But something shifted. Something cracked open. And by the time that match was over, 2 hours and 27 minutes later, Alex was on her knees, pressing both palms into the Madrid clay with tears running down her face, while the entire stadium rose to its feet. Let's talk about what actually happened, because the scoreline doesn't come close to telling the full story. Belinda Bencic is one of the most remarkable comeback stories in modern tennis. She gave birth to her daughter Bella in April 2024, stepped away from the sport entirely, and returned 6 months later ranked 421st in the world. From there, she rebuilt herself piece by piece, match by match, until she arrived in Madrid sitting at number 11 with a 14-5 record for the season, fresh off a United Cup title for Switzerland and a quarter-final run at Indian Wells. She didn't just return to tennis. She returned better, more composed, more dangerous. Her footwork has always been immaculate, her ability to absorb pace and redirect it almost surgical. At altitude in Madrid, where the thinner air makes the ball fly faster and topspin loses some of its natural bite, her game was perfectly suited to the conditions. She could stand inside the baseline, pick the ball up early, and control rallies without needing to generate enormous power herself. She was the clear favorite, and she deserved every bit of that status. Alex, meanwhile, arrived in Madrid on a wild card with just 1 win and 2 losses on clay in 2026. She had been dismantled by Eala Fernandez in Stuttgart, 6-1, 6-4, just weeks earlier, and had fallen to Ostapenko the week before that. Her serve, the known structural flaw in her game since she turned pro, was still misfiring. She had only 7 aces across the early season. Her first serve percentage often dipped below 60%, and double faults were appearing at rates that would worry any coaching staff. On paper, this was a mismatch with a predictable ending. The first set confirmed every single one of those expectations. Alex handed it over almost voluntarily. 3 double faults in the opening 4 games, a break conceded on a serve that barely scraped over the net cord. Bencic barely needed to leave second gear to take it 6-3. She looked completely at ease playing patient baseline tennis, waiting for Alex to implode and collecting the errors without ever needing to force the issue. But here is where something quietly important began to happen, something that would only reveal its full significance later. When you win a set because your opponent is essentially beating herself, you can drift into a subtle but dangerous trap. You start reading the match through the lens of their mistakes rather than through the engine of your own game. Bencic's court positioning in that first set was slightly deeper than she normally prefers. She was absorbing, waiting, content to let Alex self-destruct. It worked brilliantly for 35 minutes, but it also meant she never truly established the inside-the-baseline aggression that has defined her best tennis this season. She was winning on Alex's terms, which meant she was precisely one tactical adjustment away from losing the upper hand completely. That adjustment came at the start of the second set, and it came entirely through Alex's return game. This is the part that deserves real attention because it sits at the tactical core of everything that followed. Alex's serve is a genuine problem, and it may remain one for some time. At 1.75m, she lacks the natural leverage that taller players use to manufacture pace effortlessly. Her ball toss drifts, and her second serve sits up invitingly. These are real, documented mechanical limitations. But here is what gets overlooked in every conversation about her serve. The flip side of that weakness is a return game that most players on the tour would sacrifice a great deal to possess. She reads serve direction before the ball even leaves the racket. Her left-handed forehand creates angles off the return that right-handers simply cannot replicate. She takes the ball on the rise with a compact, loaded swing that neutralizes incoming pace and immediately puts the server under positional pressure before the rally has even properly begun. She has trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy since she was 13. Return drills are foundational there. Nadal himself built one of the greatest careers in the sport on the philosophy that the server's supposed weapon could be turned into their greatest source of anxiety, and Alex has absorbed that philosophy completely. In the second set, she began targeting Bencic's second serve with a ferocity and precision that had been entirely absent in the opener. She moved 2 full steps inside the baseline on second serve points and started driving returns deep and heavy into Bencic's backhand corner, ball after ball, game after game. This created a compounding problem. Bencic's backhand is her more reliable wing, but not her more offensive one. When pushed deep and wide to that side, she tends to play the ball back safely with depth, neutralizing rather than attacking. Against most opponents, that approach is sufficient. Against a left-hander already standing inside the court and hunting the next ball to redirect aggressively, it creates a rally geometry that methodically drags the server further and further out of position until something finally gives. The break arrived in the 5th game. Bencic served. Alex returned deep to the backhand. Bencic pushed a safe cross-court reply, and Alex stepped around her own backhand and cracked a forehand inside out that landed flush on the baseline. Bencic's demeanor visibly changed after that point. She started bouncing the ball more times before serving. Her eyes darted to her coaching box. She began reaching for bigger first serves, trying to overpower the return and bypass the problem altogether. That psychological state, that pressing, that desperate search for a solution through brute force, is precisely what Alex's game is engineered to provoke. When a server starts pressing, the margins tighten and the double faults arrive. Bencic produced 2 in the 7th game alone. The second set belonged to Alex, 6-4, and suddenly the match had an entirely different heartbeat. The third set was something else entirely. Not elegant, not clean, but genuinely gripping in the way only tense, high-stakes tennis between 2 players who both desperately need the win can be. Both understood exactly what the moment meant. For Bencic, dropping this match to an unseeded wild card on clay would put a real dent in a comeback season that had been gathering serious momentum. For Alex, beating a top 15 player on the surface that had exposed her most brutally would completely rewrite the assumptions people carried about the ceiling of her game. Those stakes did not produce cautious or nervous tennis. They produced the opposite. 4 breaks of serve in the first 6 games alone. Alex broke, Bencic broke back immediately. Alex broke again, Bencic broke back again. The set felt almost chaotic, almost lawless, driven by the simple fact that neither player had a reliable enough serve to provide any real sanctuary. Alex's first serve percentage in the third set dropped to 51%. Bencic sat at 54%. Both were leaking, and the match came down entirely to who could manage the leak more effectively under mounting pressure. In that kind of environment, small edges start carrying enormous weight. Alex had played on these Madrid courts before. She knew how this particular brand of red clay moved, slightly faster than Rome or Roland Garros, with a skid that punishes players who set up late. She knew the way the afternoon wind swirls unpredictably through the open roof of the Caja Magica. She knew the long shadows that creep across the baseline in the final stages of an evening match. Madrid is not a comfortable surface for her by any stretch, but it is a familiar, uncomfortable surface. And in a match where both players were struggling to hold serve, that environmental familiarity was worth something no stat sheet will ever capture. The decisive moment arrived in the 9th game, with Bencic serving at 4-5, fighting to hold and push the pressure back onto Alex to serve out the set. It was a long, grinding game full of lead changes and tension. Bencic fought off one break point with the fastest serve of the entire match, 172 kilometers per hour. And for a moment, it looked like she might hold. Then she double faulted. Another break point materialized. This time, Alex chipped a low return that skidded hard off the clay and stayed stubbornly below Bencic's ideal contact zone. The Swiss player reached down and tried to scoop a forehand from well below her knees. The ball sailed long,